we missed a few moments ago.
Go to post, Nick.
For John Joe Neal Jr. and Senior, Highfields Farm Partnerships, red colours with the light blue hoop. Hoops on the sleeves and a quartered cap. Number 14 is Zamani. Tom Scudamore for David Bridgewater. Bob Wilson's black colours with the stripes on the sleeves and the cap. And then Hit the Rocks for Jamie and Gary Moore. Colours of P&H Moorhead and Jay Collins. Diamond colours of pink and purple. Number 7 is Chanticleer for David White and Catherine Davis. Kai Lenehan claiming 7 in the hooped colours of blue and white, and then blue and white quarters with a red sash and cap, Kuraka, for Susan Frost and Karen Walsh. Matt Griffiths riding for Jeremy Scott. Pale blue sleeves and the yellow jacket, Aquila Sky. Lorcan Williams claiming 3 for Sam Allwood and the Ligon lot. Followed by blue with the lighter blue hoop for Gunsight Ridge, Aidan Coleman for Ollie Murphy, and the colours of Diana Waitley. Light green colours for Ard Mail with the blue epaulets. For the Wishful Thinkers, David Bass riding for Ali Strong, and then Gowell Road for Sam and Nigel Twiston Davis, the Options O Syndicate, a red with that O on the body, a white one, and a Diablo on the sleeves. Next is Pen Creek, colours of Mrs. G.S. Worcester, pale blue with the red and black stripes on the sleeves. Darryl Jacob riding for trainer Ben Pauling. Yellow colours with the black disc and cap, Dante's View, Kevin Brogan claiming 5 for George Baker, and Zamperini in the very pale colours with the bright orange cap, Niall Houlihan claiming 7 for Gary Moore in the colours of Robert Tillett.
Post 11-4 now. Nice money for Gowell Road in a quite a static market thereafter. 11-4 at the top, 4-1 about Gunsight Ridge. Nazagai 5-1 also attracting a bit of support. 10-1 Ard Mail. Zamani 12-1 going in and out. Karuka is 14-1 with Aquila Sky and Clondor Promise, and Pen Creek, who's just gone out as well. Dante's View also drifting. Hit the Rocks 22-1. Sestruga 28, 40-1 Zamperini, and 80-1 bar those. There's only one horse they're looking for, Lucky, and that's Gowell Road, who's 11-4 now.
Well, Gowell Road, it was second to Bear Gills, and there aren't many horses who could make Bear Gills pull out the stops as much as he did on his racecourse debut as well. And you could argue off the back of that he was a little bit disappointing next time. But as such, he's got a mark of 122, which means he gets into a 0 to 120. Just conceding that little bit more weight, and they might just have found a really straightforward spot for him.
Yeah, it could well really. It does look a pretty winnable opportunity for the horse. The first last run was he definitely gave Bear Gills a bit of a fright on that occasion. In the end, Bear Gills was on top, but the two of them pulled a long way clear. And it's just possible we haven't seen any evidence of it, but the introductory hurdle here 3 weeks ago may have been an okay heat, and the ground wouldn't have been as soft that day. It ran around a little bit going to the last, so maybe a few signs of greenness. He actually looked greener on the second run than he did on debut. But the form of the first race, the first effort of Fosslas really puts him in the mix.
I think the easier ground today is going to suit than last time. The ground might have just been a tiny bit livelier than ideally he wanted last time. Gunsight Ridge is 9-2 though from a yard that is back in a bit of form.
Yeah, saw the horse at Doncaster a couple of months ago winning there in a smallish field novice hurdle, and in truth it probably didn't really need to improve a great deal from the market race and second prior to that. Both those runs were on good ground. The yard, you say, going well. Can be a little bit keen, but I would have thought that the likely better pace and a biggish field handicap will suit this one.
Gunsight Ridge 4-1. Nazagay is 9-2. Has been running consistently well. I think he's done better than I anticipated he would do when moved into open company. But the juveniles, if they're placed well, do get a nice allowance.
Yeah, he started a career in the hurdling career at Cartmel, winning there last summer, and he looked as if he'd sort of levelled out a little bit, but ran perfectly well in the first time hood last time at Wetherby, and that wasn't a bad effort. That shows as well that the horse can perfectly go well on these sort of conditions anyway, which will be needed today. Another one I thought worth a mention is Zamani,
Yes.
the David Bridgewater horse.
We didn't see in the paddock Zamani.
No.
Tom Skew's riding in Bob Wilson's colours, the black colours with the stripes on the sleeves and cap.
Yeah, 6th at Cheltenham last time in that race, the race that Breffney Boy won. That was just a much better contest. Dropped again in the weights. It's got winning form from Fontwell in bad ground just over a year ago, so yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that horse outran his odds.
OK, it looks as though Time for a Spin is going to lead them out onto the course here. Just a little on toes for Mark Archer. Ardmail, you can see the Mr Mulligan silks there of Pen Creek on the left. Chanticleer looks like he's going to be in the front rank, the blue with the white hoops. And I think it'll be a race run at a reasonable gallop. Gowell Road, certainly on the back of that opening effort at Foss Lass, you'd have thought we'll eventually have aspirations better than this. And this could be a good spot for him. The flag is up then for this handicap, and we'll head up to the commentary box. Richard, it's all yours.
Thank you, Dick. Yep, 2 miles, half a furlong. And they're just making their way into line with the starter. Time for a Spin, just a little bit on edge. And they're not going to go. No one was really out of line there, but now under the new procedures we're allowed to have another go rather than a standing start, and so far every time this has happened we've got away second time. But just a couple that were on edge more than anything else. Time for a Spin was certainly one of them. So we will take a turn and they will walk back in for this second attempt. If this fails, then we will go back to a standing start, but Time for a Spin was just a little bit on his toes. So they'll be asked to reform a group and approach the starter again. Time for a Spin once again will end up at the head of affairs. They're facing in all different directions at the moment. This time it looks better. And they're off. So away we go for the Mansion Bets Faller Insurance Handicap Hurdle, 2 miles and half a furlong. Gowell Road is one of the first to show. Zamani is also in a handy position, in company with Time for a Spin and Chanticleer as they rise at the first. Now they are all over the first. The one that is a little bit behind the others is Nazagai, as they make their way up past the stands with still a complete circuit to go. Time for a Spin and Zamani. Zamani over on the far side. Gowell Road and Chanticleer in blue and white. Clondor Promise in red and blue on the outside of Gunsight Ridge, who is on the inside in the two-tone blue colours. Aquila Sky in the yellow jacket with Ardmail and Pen Creek wide on the racecourse. Karaka comes next just ahead of Hit the Rocks. Dante's View as they turn away. And the back markers include the likes of Zamparini as they make the turn. So Struger is another who's in that rear division, and last of all is Nazagai. So into the back straight, and the lead is still disputed by Time for a Spin on the outside of Zamani. Chanticleer is racing enthusiastically in the blue and white hoops in third, just ahead of Ardmail and Gowell Road as they take the first in the back straight, which they are all over safely. Zamparini was just pushed along on landing, and there was a slight mistake by Chanticleer. Just tended to lose the back legs on landing, as out in the lead, Time for a Spin leads Zamani and Chanticleer towards the next flight with Ardmail and Aquila Sky. Gowell Road not the swiftest over that on the inside, and again Zamparini was pushed along. So out in the lead, it is Time for a Spin from Chanticleer and the lime green colours of Ardmail up on the outside. Zamani is still there on the inside. Pen Creek's make ground with Aquila Sky and Karaka. Again, Gowell Road, not the fastest on the inner, and as a result has just dropped back to midfield with Clondor Promise also in that to midfield group, in company as well with Dante's View in the white cheek pieces. So Struger is on the outside. Nazagai is trying to get a little closer, and Zamparini is towards the back with Hit the Rocks. Time for a Spin and Chanticleer lead the field over the last flight of hurdles on the far side. Zamani chases the leaders in company with the yellow colours of Aquila Sky. Pen Creek comes next. Ardmail has lost a bit of ground as Karaka improves. Gowell Road's made ground again on the inner, is into about 7th or 8th. Then pushed along, we have Clondor Promise just ahead at the moment of, on the outside, Struger trying to get involved. Gunsight Ridge still travels okay, despite being back in the field. And the only one really out of touch at this stage is Zamperini, who is off the back end by 5 or 6. But there are a few in that midfield group, notably Clondor Promise, who are now under pretty strong driving. And right from the back, Nezagai continues to creep closer and has attached himself to the back of the main body of the field. That main body is still headed by Timeforaspin and Zamani, with Pen Creek in third. Gowell Road back on the premises on the inside of Kuraka as they make the turn. Gunsight Ridge still travels strongly just behind the leaders as they make their way towards the third last. Timeforaspin is still out in the lead. From in second, Kuraka. Then behind these, Gowell Road towards the inside, Gunsight Ridge, Pen Creek and Zamani. Over on the far side, Hit the Rocks comes next from Aquila Sky as they make their journey down then towards the second last. Over on the far side, Gowell Road in the red colours, Kuraka with the red cap. Then still there, Timeforaspin, and Gunsight Ridge continues to make steady progress for Aidan Coleman, and he's into fourth place but was just pushed along on landing, so they fan out on the approach towards the last. Timeforaspin continues to be right there with Kuraka, Gowell Road and Gunsight Ridge, the four of them heading down towards the final flight of hurdles. There won't be much in it. Gunsight Ridge on the stand side, Kuraka in the centre. Over on the far side is Gowell Road. They fan out with a half a furlong, or a furlong still to go. Gowell Road, red and white colours from Gunsight Ridge and Kuraka as they set off up the final 150 yards. Gowell Road for Sam and Nigel. Twiston Davis driven out, but he's staying on tenaciously here. 4 lengths is the gap, has run the finish out of Gunsight Ridge and Kuraka from the last. They were miles clear from Nazagai, who's come through for remote fourth. Timeforaspin's gallant effort will end in fifth, and then come the rest of the pack.
Just his third start, first handicap. He's defied top weight here. A horse who is rated 122 gets into the 0 to 120 on this technicality, and he shows he is different class to these rivals by conceding them all weight and giving them, in the end, a fairly healthy beating. The 5 to 2 market leader in the Ballyandy Silks of the Options O syndicate for Nigel and Sam Twiston Davis. He still looks green. He wasn't always fluent early on, but the rider gave him a ground-saving trip to the last, and in spite of wandering a little on the run-in, he pulled out plenty under a stern drive to get the better of his significant market rival Gunsight Ridge, who remains progressive for an informed yard. Good run from Kuraka, second start for Jeremy Scott, a valiant effort from Timeforaspin, who tried to cut out most of the running for Mark Usher and James Davis, and they'll have some fun with him eventually, I would think. But Gowell Road is a horse who remains interesting, I think, John.
Absolutely. Similar to the run race last month, where he showed signs of greenness going to the last flight, but a bit more streetwise on this occasion. This is more in keeping probably with what we thought after the Foss last debut. Although in truth, the introductory hurdle last time may still work out to be a decent race, but it was a fleeting visit to a 0 to 120 company, and he'll be up in grade and he'll probably be up in trip in due course as well.
Full start. Richard said to you beforehand that the new procedures meant that they didn't have to have a standing start. They could just take another spin, and in they came. And I'm pleased there's been a little bit of bend and flex to that rule, which I understood why it was brought in, but I think it's right that there is a little bit of flex now.
Yeah, there is, yeah. Quite a few. It certainly didn't suit plenty of horses, and it just caused a bit of trouble anyway after that. So to give them a second chance, I think is only fair.
And they turn for home now, and Timeforaspin's run a super race. Another one off the front that's been run out of fourth in the end by the bottom weight Nazagai, but it was a really good performance.
Yeah, it was a very cheap buy and showed nothing on that comeback run, and that was only 10 days or so ago, but he's run really well today. I'm sure Connections will get another win into him as soon as they can find the most suitable race. Interesting that, as in the previous hurdle race half an hour ago, the winner, Gowell Road, has stayed more towards the far side, as does Richard Johnson do in the previous race. Whether it's better ground there or as he's on the favourite, it's just a better horse. It just worked out that way. Who knows? But Gowell Road, it's often been in the past no bad thing to come over towards the stand side, but Gowell Road stayed on the far side. He's had to withstand a strong challenge from Gunsight Ridge, who travelled noticeably well into the race. He was the one horse leaving the back straight. You could see how well he was going. He's travelled really, really well. And this showed that his Doncaster win was on good ground. He's adaptable as well. He's versatile regarding the ground, and he's probably bumped into a better than average 0 to 120 horse here.
Sam Twist-and-Davis got into that familiar dynamic drive after the last, and you sense that he felt, right, I need to make this horse's mind up because he's still a bit green, inexperienced, babyish. Go on, get out and win the race. And in the end, he's put a nice bit of distance between himself and Gunsight Ridge in this handicap, which was probably more interesting than the rating band suggested it might be. And I think the front two certainly are ones to move forward with.
Yeah, class has ultimately come to the fore in these gruelling conditions. Gowell Road, 122.